everyone. This is Deborah Gardner, your host. Welcome to Hospitality Today. Yes, and today's episode is actually sponsored by Hospitality Lead Generation with Lynn Wellish. Stay ahead of the competition by uncovering lead opportunities for your products and services. As many of you know by now, each week we invite the most relevant, the experienced, those that have the expertise in the hospitality industry to help share their stories, their experiences, and even their lessons. And today, well, we have a very special guest. As a matter of fact, somebody that I have known for a long, long time and who actually also has been actually a big brother type for me as well. His name is Joe Heaps. Now, Joe is the managing partner and chief marketing officer for eSpeakers. And if you are a speaker or if you hire speakers, you are going to want to be on this, watching this today as much as you can to learn about what Joe is going to share with us. And we're going to open it up for questions and comments at the same time. So why don't we just bring in Joe and let's get started. Hi, Joe.
How you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. And what a tribute, man. I haven't had anybody introduce me like that. And even as a big brother. Does that mean I can treat you like a sister and tease you and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
All
we
right.
go way back. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have a tendency to do that anyway. So, yeah, we've had a lot of fun together. So,
yeah, we do. We really do.
This is great.
Yep. Good. I'm glad you're here. And a lot of people have been anxious to hear from you today too, but I know there's a lot of our viewers that may not know who Joe Heaps is in the first place. Let's start there. Tell people about yourself.
Well, shoot, that's a loaded question. I'll give you the short version of it. I am the chief marketing officer here at eSpeakers and run all the sales and marketing, which has been a lot of fun. The industry itself is so fulfilling to work with such awesome people on both sides of the transaction. On the speaker side, they're so inspiring and have these awesome stories and great content and really move audiences to do great things. And on the other side, you have these event organizers who are putting on these amazing meetings and changing lives as well. So it's kind of fun to be kind of in the middle of that, helping both crowds. And so it's been almost 19 years for me with eSpeakers. Before that, I did some marketing and sales for some tech companies. And so that's really my background, is kind of marketing and sales in tech. But I was brought on as one of the owners when Art Berg, who was the founder of our company, passed away. He was a speaker and set to be the president of NSA. And anyway, passed away. So they needed some help, and I knew some common people, and so we got involved. And so I joined my current business partner, Dave Reed, who does all our technology. And so Dave and I have been working together for almost 19 and a half years, I guess, trying to make a difference in the industry. And it's been a lot of fun. I've traveled the world, meeting a lot of really amazing people, Deborah included. And anyway, that's kind of a gist on what we love to do. And I love lots of different things, being outdoors and all that stuff. So I don't know. Is that what you wanted to know, Deborah?
Yeah, I definitely know you as an outdoor person, living up in Utah, beautiful weather. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun seeing you around the country to all the events that we're involved with. And I'm just extremely proud of what eSpeakers has developed. And I know, being involved with your organization, it's been wonderful. There's a lot of meeting and event professionals out there that utilizes your services for multiple reasons. But I also know that recently eSpeakers accomplished something big, something huge, while going through all these difficult times that we've been involved with right now. You guys were like the ones that were just ahead of the game to come up with this new accomplishment. Tell us about it.
Oh, well, all right. Well, I think you're talking about our certified virtual presenter.
Absolutely.
And we, like everybody, had just kind of got stonewalled by COVID. You know, it just hit the industry so big. And there's kind of two sides of our business. We have the speaker side, where we're helping speakers present themselves online through our online directories, and help their back office, run their back office through some technology that we have. And so we have that side of it, and we could just see the speakers. They were starting to lose all the events on their calendars. And for a speaker, that's your livelihood, right? You have all these events and they're planned out into the future, and they were losing everything. They had nothing for the rest of the year. And it gave us a gut ache, thinking, oh my gosh, we got to do something to help, but how do we help? And then we have the other side of our business, which is the event organizer side, where those meeting professionals will put jobs into our system and our technology helps match them up with speakers. And so those events were being postponed at the time, and none canceled. Actually, we only had one event actually canceled. The rest postponed or went virtual, which was a complete surprise and great for everybody. But what's interesting is that we decided one day, we were kind of brainstorming, what can we do to help the industry? And we had this thought. One of the problems we had faced with one of the event organizers is we gave them several suggestions of speakers and how to get ideas of people to look at for a virtual event. And they connected with the speakers virtually like this. And the speakers had really bad audio, bad video, bad lighting. They had the kitchen in the background. And, these are just several different speakers. And not the speaker's fault at all, because your platform for a speaker is the stage, right? And that's where you kind of present all of your content. And they got forced into saying, hey, now I've got to do that from home. And so the event organizers kind of got back to us and said, my word, this is going to be hard because these people aren't equipped. And the truth is it just happened to kind of be the people that we suggested. A large majority of the speaking industry has been doing virtual stuff for a long time and are very equipped. And so it didn't really have, but it made us think we can do something here to help. So we created this certified virtual presenter certification. It's a very low level certification. It doesn't qualify a speaker's content or their ability to present, the presentation skills and things like that. It's strictly based on their environment. So like mine here, do I have good enough lighting? Do I have good video? Do I have good audio? Is my internet connection consistent, and or am I getting interrupted? And so those are some different things. We make them break from the certification, the window, and log back into. We use Zoom to qualify them or certify them. So they have to leave the Zoom meeting and pretend like the internet went out or power went out or something, and come back in and prove they can do that. And then they do a little 60-second video pitching themselves, and it's on their profiles. You can go look at it right now. It's amazing. It's under the virtual tab on eSpeakers Marketplace. But we put all this together and just said, we're going to do this. And there was nothing else out there. So we just went ahead and launched it, and we were booked solid the whole month of May. I did 8 to 10 of these a day. One day several times I did like 12 or 13, but they last for half an hour. And so I was booked literally all day doing these on Zoom, and there were 8 of us or 6 of us that were doing them. And everybody was so excited about it. The speakers were loving the idea of having some type of certification that would help buyers know that, I have an okay office. You can hire me to talk to your executive team, and you can count on my environment being okay to sit in front of your team or whatever. So we launched that, and turns out the event organizers absolutely loved not having to dig through the internet trying to find people that had a good home office they could do virtual events at. and they didn't have to send them to a studio or anything like that. They could just say, hey, they have this badge on their profile, they're certified, and somebody else has certified them, just other than the speaker saying, I have a qualified office or something. It's somebody else. And so we actually vet them, we certify them, and all the results of the certification are on the actual profile. And so as a buyer or as an event organizer, you can go and look on their eSpeakers profile under virtual tab and see all the different things and how they tested, what mics they use, what their internet speed is, and everything, and watch their video. So anyway, long story short, we did this, and we did it solely in the beginning as a way to give back. And because we were spending a ton of time doing this. Like my whole May and June of this year, I spent more hours doing that than anything else. And I didn't get paid for any of those certifications. We just did it for our customers that are paying us, and they get to do it for free. Anyway, long story short, it is just rolled all month to month to month, and we're now at 1,000 certifications, just maybe under that, of speakers around the world that are certified. And we don't qualify, we don't certify everybody. We've had several people that we've had to deny it. Probably every day we have somebody that we have to say, hey, come back, you've got to have better internet connection, or better lighting, or whatever it is, right? And so that happens often. And we've got, I think that happened.
I was one of them.
I wasn't going to mention that unless you wanted to, but
hey, I'm glad you did, though, because I'm a face-to-face person. That coming from the hospitality industry, that's what we're used to. So this whole thing caught us off guard that we were going to have to go virtual, and the meetings industry has been very resistant to it, as we know, and I'm part of that. And so you and your staff actually taught me, what was needed to make it more acceptable, because the meeting and event professionals, they have not been trained on this. They don't have the budget to be trained on it or to get the equipment. So what you guys have done was brought a value to them to help speed up the process, so they didn't have to cancel their meetings or postpone them. They can still do it, but just in a virtual sense.
Yeah, no, and it literally is just taken off.
Wow.
The speakers were super fast. They pivoted so fast, just like boom, boom. It's like a little tiny boat. When you say, hey, we need to go that way, it's like, okay, we're going, and they go.
Right.
But for event organizers, that is not a little dingy boat. That's a massive boat, and it's long. And when you say turn, it's like, it kind of moves just really slow, because it's hard to take a full event and say, we're going to take that into a virtual setting. So that's been a process, and we've seen it slower and slower and slower, but it is moving into that, they're pivoting and moving into that direction. But speakers really quickly pivoted. In fact, so much that in the first few months, if you went to Amazon and tried to search for some of the really popular cameras and lighting and new computers and things like that, it was months of a wait for people. And so everybody was stockpiling. And the thing we're up against is it's not just professional speakers and not just meetings. Everybody and their dog went virtual, meaning all the corporations sent their employees home, and they started meeting on Zoom or whatever platform to have their meetings. And so all the supplies were depleted. And so everything's back in now, I think, from what I hear from everybody. But it's been a great process to see how everybody's pivoted and adjusted to that. This is kind of the base level certification. We do have plans for a second and even a third level certification, people with studios, people being able to present different things. And what's really cool is some other vertical markets that we're looking at right now with this certification. It's not going away. Virtual is not going away.
No, as a matter of fact, Lisa Raymond actually posted the link to your certification, which I think is brilliant, because it's real easy to just, go to that link and follow the instructions and get it processed. And this is not just for professional speakers. This is for any type of speaker, Toastmasters, emerging speakers that really want that professionalism done, just to go to that link.
Yeah. And we've had people from other industries altogether, educators. We've had healthcare professionals, we've had corporations. And so this is just the little start of what this certification will be. And there's lots of supporting online documentation and videos and things like that will help people that we're going to be releasing shortly, of how to set up an office and how to do things. And one of the things to look forward to is actually a kit that an event organizer can say, I want to hire this speaker. And one of the things we find is if a speaker is older or not as tech savvy, they struggle with the idea of talking virtually like this. And so, or even setting it up. So we'd send like a kit out to the speaker, and you just open it up, and we have somebody that would come in from an AV company and kind of set that up virtually and be there to monitor it. And the speaker just speaks to the company. So the idea is that it's not going away. It's even getting more prevalent. We're finding other ways. As an event organizer, we're going to provide you more tools to be able to say, hey, we can bring these people to you. Now, there is still a little bit of that area where you're like, I don't know about that. We had a guy from Africa that called in and said, I'm a speaker and I want to be certified. And he was doing it on his phone, and there's a level there that is not acceptable to present at. And so, that's what we're trying to set here, is that most people are going to certify with this. Backdrops and things like that are great. But anyway, we've had a lot of success with it, and there's great things coming. And so we're, again, still just doing all of this to try to help both sides of the transaction, connect. So.
Right. And there's going to be challenges along the way, because we're all on this learning module together. As a matter of fact, I got a question here from Lynn Wellish, and she was saying, with a virtual panel, can they light it and sound it all, in a sync situation? Because doing virtually panels, that's even a tough thing. There's going to be challenges like this, and we all might not have the answers to a lot of them, other than diving in, jumping in, and just trying it and see what happens. But have you ever come up with this?
We have
with this type of challenge.
Yeah, the panels are not actually hard.
Oh,
they're not. I mean, if we had two more people on this call, you've got a panel, and then the audience submits that. You can do it through a webinar tool where you have panelists and then you have attendees underneath it. And the attendees don't show their faces or talk, but they can submit through the chat forums or online. Some of the companies are pre-submitting the questions. Some speakers, this is really interesting, is some speakers are actually pre-recording their presentation. Like, I would sit here and give a whole presentation, and then the company would play the pre-recording and then stop it and say, all right, now we've got Joe. He's on here live with us to answer any of the questions that he's already covered in this point. So the speaker isn't worried about the content and stuff. He's just answering questions that you might have from watching it. And it takes a little bit of the technology out of it. And I've seen that with the panels as well.
Right.
The panelists will be a pre-recorded panel where they talk about their different ideas of whatever's being talked about. And then they'll open it up for a live session after. So there's lots of different.
There are.
I think the key word here is you've got to think hybrid. There's not one way of doing this. Virtual is here to stay, but it doesn't mean that's the only thing you can do. You can have people in attendance. You can have speakers in attendance and people virtual. Right. You can have part of it recorded, part of it not. I mean, we just need to become comfortable with this new environment.
Right. And creative. When you were talking about the pre-recorded, I just did one a couple of weeks ago one pre-recorded program for 2 clients.
Oh, there you go.
That way the clients were able to share the budget between, but it was the same. And I was able to talk through it to associate with their theme. So they couldn't tell when another theme was involved, and it worked out beautifully. So I think creativity is unlimited right now. You cannot go wrong trying something new and different at all.
One thing, one company that it's one of the biggest telecom companies in Asia, and they hired a really high price speaker here in the US, and we helped connect them. And it was kind of one of the first virtual gigs that we did at Connections. And they actually did a practice run through with it before it was live, just to see what it would be like. So they had like, if you're concerned about having a panel, like get everybody on, say, this is how it's going to run, record it, and then go back and look at it and say, oh, we need to change this. That transition wasn't very good. And this, because it's so new that people, especially organizers, they're looking at it and saying, oh, I don't know. We have this way that we've always been doing this meeting or this trade show or this convention, and this is new. And so if you're worried about it, do a run through, practice it, no problem. And speakers are always willing to do that.
Absolutely.
They might not give their whole presentation, but they could say, this is where you'd come in. Okay, now how are you going to hand it off to the next person? And they're always willing to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Randall, who is a good friend of you and I, said thank you for that, because that's clarification that we don't have to be afraid of panels at this point. So thank you, Randall, for that comment. We are here, if you're just joining us now, with Joe Heaps, Managing Partner and Chief Marketing Officer for eSpeakers. And if you have questions or comments, go ahead in the chat box. I'm collecting those right now and see quite a few coming through. I wish we had 2 hours here with Joe, but we're going to do our best to fit in as many as we can. But it's such a delight to have you on the show here, Joe, because again, you have been around in the industry for so long and know the ins and outs and all the players especially National Speakers Association, which you and I adore. I just wanted you to know how much you are appreciated because you show up for every conference and meeting, and you're just there for that creativity and trying something new and different. You're there for the speakers and you're there for the client, trying to close that gap. And that's admirable.
Yeah, that's kind of you. It's just one of those things. Everybody kind of has their superpower.
Right.
And mine is just people. I love being around people. I can do things better face to face. And it's the preferred method. So I'm over marketing and sales. And so that's the way we're going to do it. And so we're at every event. We're meeting everybody we can. We're trying to be out in front of people. Of course, that doesn't mean that's the only way. You can do things other ways too, but that's my preferred method. And so, we've tried to give back, and, I've always kind of lived by, trying to give more than you get. And so hopefully, people feel that. And, but we're here to stay. We've been in business, the longest kind of tech company in the speaking industry itself. Nice. And so, we're surviving 2020. Which is crazy. I hope everybody's doing all right with that too. But
yeah, it's crazy. So let's get to the meat of what eSpeakers can actually do for especially the clients, because they're the ones that are being driven to your marketplace to find the speaker in a very quick manner. Why would a meeting or event professional want to hire a speaker through eSpeakers, and what are those benefits?
Yeah. Well, there's lots of different ways to find a speaker. You can get a referral from somebody else or a recommendation. You can go look at, try searching Google, which I wouldn't recommend. That's like finding a needle in the haystack. And really what happens, you can call a speakers bureau, you could call some type of agency or management company. There's lots of different ways to, get in touch with a speaker and start a conversation. But what we found is with the kind of millennial change in buyers and meeting planners and the habits that we have with phones and buying things off phones, we find that like half of the people that come to our directory are searching speakers on a phone rather than a computer. And so it's just our buying habits. And so people are used to the idea of searching and buying for something online, whether it's on a computer or on a mobile device, whatever it is. That transaction is comfortable to them, and so we saw a need of a kind of a gap in the industry where people were still calling these bureaus or agencies or calling the speakers direct, trying to connect with them and find out if they were available to get hired. And so we created this technology, eSpeakers Marketplace, which is a little bit like Amazon in a sense, or Uber or whatever you might call, where you can just go directly to the buyer or directly to the speaker and communicate directly. And so you can get into the search of eSpeakers Marketplace. You can search on fees and on topics and on availability. You can, as you search, you can search on language, and there's lots of different things you can search, and you narrow that search just like you would on Amazon. If Deborah was buying a pair of shoes and she needed them to be, leopard skin or red or whatever, and they need to be certain high heels or whatever, like they need to be a certain look for a presentation she can narrow that approach from thousands of shoes down to like 10 and then make a decision from there. And that's just like our process through eSpeakers, is you can take all these different speakers with all this different experience and great content and narrow them down and find the right speaker. We believe that the right speaker in front of the right audience can make a lasting change. And that's really our whole mission with what we do with eSpeakers, is through technology, we feel like we can narrow or close that gap to find the right speaker. Because sure, there's lots of speakers out there and they can come and speak to your audience and deliver some good content and everything, but they may not connect with the audience. And our whole idea is, like, you want to hire a speaker that's really going to connect with the audience and make that process of hiring them really easy. So as you can see on the screen here, finding speakers is the number one thing we do. The second thing we do is helping you connect. Once you've decided that you're going to narrow this search down, you can actually favorite the speakers on their profiles and put them into a short list or a shopping cart, as we call it. So again, very familiar to buying other things online. You're searching these speakers, you put them in a short list, and then you can share that short list with other coworkers and kind of vote on who likes who, and kind of one naturally gravitates to the top, and that's who you look at to hire. During that process, you can also communicate directly with the speakers through the platform, through a messaging function through the platform, and you can communicate back and forth with them, talking about, hey, this price is good. Can I sell books? Would you do this? Lots of good communication happening there. And again, I didn't have to go find the speaker's website and find their page that has the contact information and send a random email and hope they call me back or get back with me. A lot of the speakers are so busy, in a really busy year, they're always on the road. And nowadays we're probably more in touch with, like, are able to be contacted by email on the phone or your actual phone number or texting or on LinkedIn or Facebook. So it's a little bit easier, a lot easier actually, but speakers are so busy that it's hard to get, a response back. Are you available on this date or not? And one of the things that our system does is, because we run the back ends of the speaker's calendar, when you search for a speaker, you can also find out their availability. If they're booked on this date but available this date, or traveling on this date, they won't be available to speak. Or you'll be able to find out when they're in a certain city. For instance, if Deborah's in Dallas speaking and somebody was looking for an expert on leadership or event management or whatever, they would find her and see that she's already in Dallas, and she wouldn't have to fly there. She could just come and speak to them, stay another day. So there's a really great way, once you've selected those speakers, to connect with them and bring them in the system. Then the third way is really the kind of the is really the whole purpose of doing this is hiring a speaker. And so our platform is the only platform that allows you to actually send a contract through the system and sign it electronically. Now, of course, you can send a PDF email them a PDF and do it that way too, or a paper contract. And then you can actually pay the speaker directly through the system as well. And of course, you can send a check as well if that's something, if you're not comfortable doing that. But this is the kind of the new way of, I mean, we're talking about hybrid, virtual, and physical meetings. Hiring a speaker and searching them online and hiring them like this, it is here to stay. And people are loving it. We are growing. We just did some numbers from last year. In 2019, we had grown over 400% more jobs in the system. Meeting planners or meeting professionals. Deborah will get mad at me for saying meeting planners. They're professionals. Meeting professionals who have put jobs in our platform, and it's becoming more popular. We're improving the system, and it's anyway. So surprisingly, we're even topping those numbers in 2020. Don't ask me how. I don't know how it's working, but somehow we are, even in a really bad economy of 2020 and no events. Somehow it's working. And I guess I say somehow, I know how it's working because they're virtual. Virtual is here, and we have booked more virtual events since May and June than we ever have in our system. And so somehow we've got more growth in 2020, and it's mostly virtual. So, take from that what you want, but it's here to stay. This technology. And the other thing that's easy, Deborah, is that when you talk about time zones and countries and things like that, it's hard for somebody to book another speaker in another area and communicate with them in a good manner. And so our system facilitates that and lets them do all that hiring and managing of the event online, and makes it easy to do that. So.
Right. Yeah. And the way the meeting and event profession is just such a fast-paced game. They don't have time for, spending, hours and hours looking for a speaker. I think the testimonials that you have online and the process that you have available to them online definitely oversees any other type of system. Yeah. So I think any meeting and event professional would want to take advantage of those, especially those three benefits, all under one umbrella. So that's great.
And there's some great things to come still. But we're partners with MPI. We have our directories active on the MPI website as a resource for MPI members. We're also partners with Helms Briscoe and Conference Direct, and working with their members. And of course everybody else, but we're trying to help move the needle a little bit in regards to hiring speakers, especially virtually this year.
Right. Well, and looking into the future, which everybody's trying to do day by day, week by week, is there something that eSpeakers, when you're talking about improving things, is there something in the future that you see eSpeakers developing that will help move the needle for speakers and their clients?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's going to have. I've already shared a bunch of those things with you. Most of it has to do with virtual and hybrid meetings. I mean, the future is hybrid meetings. Everybody we're talking to right now, I don't see another meeting happening that's not hybrid in some way or fashion. Right. I think you'd be silly if you didn't consider having a hybrid meeting, because there are people that are concerned about traveling and the travel restrictions, and it's not even if you can start meeting with large groups. It's if the attendees will come, right, and speakers and stuff. So I think having a hybrid version of that, I think, is really important. And there's some other things that you can do. Like we're really pushing right now on speakers, and we're providing some upcoming technology that will help facilitate this, but not only just a hybrid meeting, but it used to be so transactional in the approach. Like you would hire Deborah to come speak, and you did a keynote, and they'd hire you for X amount of money, and you would fly in. You might be there a little bit before and to prep, and then you'd go give the keynote, and you'd be done, and you'd leave. And that's kind of the older school, early 2000s way of doing a keynote as a speaker. And that's what the meeting planners want. We just want you to come speak, cover this thing, and we're good, and it's all good. Now, there's so much more involved in all this. We highly recommend speakers doing a pre-video that would be kind of a marketing message. I wish that I had it loaded here, and I don't know if I can share screens or not, but I'd show you one that Joe Theismann just did for one of the events we're hiring him for, and it's amazing. He just comes up and says, "Hey, he actually is like putting in the words of the event, the date, the city it's going to be in. You know, he is like fully locked and loaded on this thing, and it is really great."
So was that through your system, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's new and different.
Yeah. So the pre-event video, like that the event organizer can use to help market the event that's not going away. That's got to be part of it, and we're going to provide an easy way to do that.
That's nice.
The other thing is
very nice added touch. I think that kind of helps complete the package from pre to post, and doing it all under eSpeakers is great.
And then there's some ways during the event or prior to the event that people can ask questions. It's not just through a Google form. It's actually like video questions, asking questions about like, what are you going to present, Deborah? And, oh, you're going to present on leadership. I'm going to talk about these five things that top leaders stumble on, or whatever. That's the topic of your presentation.
Right.
Ask me these questions. And so somebody would say, "Hey, I'm in this situation. This is what I'm doing." They'd like say some interaction beforehand. So the speaker has real live data that they can use from the company they're working with to like analyze and look at, and situations. And then they use that as part of their presentation. So that's another thing we're seeing that's being, used.
Wow.
Also, during the event, speakers are not just at the keynote, they're staying on for sessions after. And if you're there, you might as well do another session, at least a book signing, maybe do a networking event the night before. These are all things that as an event organizer, you should be asking your speaker to do. It's not extra anymore. It's just part of the package, right?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Speakers are happy to do it because they just want to get booked.
Right.
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 So, and they can easily do it. And then on the post side of the event, they've even done a post kind of briefing with the executive team, the show management or the event management, and kind of done that. And then they also have done several speakers are doing like a post marketing video to say, "Hey, I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Remember, there's this, and this that you need to do to be great managers," or whatever. That's a full engagement from start to finish. And those are some of the things that we're seeing as in 2021 that will really make an impact.
Wow, there's no stopping you guys.
Well, I don't know about
hard
that.
to keep up with you.
They're not our ideas, though. That's the thing. They're coming from the industry, and that's really what actually drove the certification. Our virtual certification came from the event organizer saying, "Hey, we need some way to vet these guys. We need something." And that's how all this comes apart. Is they're saying, "Hey, we want a pre-video, and we need to make it easier. It's too hard, And so we're working on some ways to make that easy. So, yeah.
That's great. Well, Lisa Raymond is like, this is great information. And I know she's a speaker herself, and I know she belongs to Toastmasters, so I'm sure she's going to share a lot of this information with her peeps as well. And it is great information. I'm learning some new stuff I never even thought about. But she also had a question, which I thought would be kind of a good segue here. Lisa is saying, in the hybrid environment, should the speaker, prepare both a physical and virtual book signing or sales, which you did mention already. So I'm wondering, we mentioned a couple things, but I'm also thinking that speakers need to come up with some creative ideas too, above and beyond just their book sales.
Right. Well, I heard one the other day, an example of book sales for a virtual presentation is the day of the event, the speaker posted something on their Instagram account about presenting to this company. And they were going to talk about the content of this particular book. And on Instagram now, you can now sell things right through your post. So you just click the post and it comes up and says, oh, you want to buy it? Click this. And it goes right into a store that's a transaction.
Wow.
And most people have a credit card or Apple Pay or whatever on their phone. You just click that, boom, I want it, I get it, and it's done. It's so easy. And that's it's one of the things that has made, that's actually virtual has some really great benefits. A lot of people have this idea that going virtual is like, I'm limiting myself. It's not going to be as good as in person. Yeah. I'm a people person. Trust me, I love in person, but it's not. There's some great benefits. The big event we did back in May to that big telecom company, they had 8,000 people on this meeting and they were asking questions and doing things. Now they all weren't speaking at the same time, but they were asking this speaker all these different questions. And they had more people there. Their annual convention that they have is like 3,000. So they had 5,000 more people in attendance to this event to learn than they did in a physical event. And they're like, amazing. Pretty good. Like, we're getting a lot of comments and people that couldn't travel before that can participate. And so anyway, that's kind of the idea, is that there's more uptake. It's a good virtual is, there are some benefits, and I can't remember why I was going to bring that up. Well, right.
Well, and the best part for speakers is they don't have to get out of their pajamas. I mean,
yeah. Well, you don't know that I'm even wearing shorts. I
know, right?
I might be in my underwear, boxers or something. I'm not, but it's true.
It is true. There are benefits. There are benefits.
There's some big benefits, but that's one of the things that we just heard is like Instagram, super easy. Yeah. And it's easy to go to and make the transaction. It's even easier than saying, go to my website, go to the store and buy the stuff or whatever. So, that's one way to do that. And her question was about book sales. Is that right?
Book sales. Yeah, virtually, which is the great example of the Instagram. I didn't even know about that myself. So
and there's other ways to do that too. You can Amazon links and different things like that people have built in. But I think the Instagram is a great way. Plus, you get them to follow you, right?
Right. It all mingles together.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. It really does. Well, then we also, gosh, I can't believe all these questions coming in. Lynn Wellish has one for you. It's in line with what I was going to ask you as far as, what's your advice? So, what is the biggest trend speakers must embrace? What is your advice to speakers on something like that? Great question.
It's all virtual. What we found in the transition as speakers, I said speakers pivoted super quick to the virtual side of it, but not all the speakers were comfortable. They may have pivoted, but they were not comfortable. It is different. It is very different to speak with somebody over a camera than being used to all these people in front of you and the feedback. You can look down at them. They're laughing, especially comedians or people that tell jokes through presentation. They rely on those audience interactions and the feedback. And so there were a few people that we certified early on that really, they are seasoned speakers and they stumbled. They had a hard time.
Sure. So
I would say if one thing you need to embrace and a trend is like perfect your craft. Like get on here and, offer free virtual presentations or, do it for your church, do it for the schools, do it for whoever. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs you like 30 minutes of your time to do it, and you're staying in your house and you're good to go. So that's what I would do, is get better at it, because it's here to stay.
Yeah, it really is. And there's no doubt about it. If you want to survive in the speaking industry, you're going to have to be a lot more flexible and trying new things, just like the virtual world, because you're absolutely right. It is not going away.
Well, and the other part of that is I didn't mean to cut you off, but the other part of that is to invest in the right tools. I'll just put Deborah on the spot here. When Deborah certified the first time, she didn't have all the right tools.
Nope.
Not just internet. She didn't have the right tools. And when I said, like, hey, I want to be really nice to you and everything, but
no, it has to be right. I mean, I even have a broadcasting background, and I know about the equipment. Today's equipment is different than back in the day when I was in sports broadcasting. So it was hard to embrace. And on top of it, being a face-to-face type of person, I was resistant. I have to be honest. I was resistant. And thank God you guys slapped me on the hand and said,
whatever,
go back.
But
redo this.
The equipment is an issue, and it's an investment, and it doesn't mean that you have to go and buy. There's some really awesome things you can do, right? Cameras, audio, like the full studio. There's some really great things you do, but you can also do it on a budget. You could totally outfit your office as a speaker for under $1,000, in my opinion, with really good stuff. Right. Another trend that I was just telling Deborah before we actually started the live shot was that there are speakers that are buying kind of the stand-up banner that goes, at a trade show or something, and they have these slip over fabric units that zipper at the bottom, and they have the dimensions and everything. They'll send it to the buyer, to the event organizer, and say, here's the dimensions. If you guys want to do this, it costs $65 to print a new one. I'm happy to put that on the screen behind me.
Great idea.
I present, and your logo's there. It's in your colors, the color of your event and all that stuff. And then you don't have to have my office, which is fine. My office is great, but I could actually be kind of representing your event better. And it costs them $65 to print that. And they just slip it over the existing frame and do it. So those are some things that I think we'll kind of get to after everybody gets past pandemic and quarantine and all that stuff and starts like really thinking about how we can maximize this.
Right.
Those are some ways I think speakers need to be really thinking forward of what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, the clients are doing their best to get the budget to even hire a speaker, let alone the equipment and production team. So if speakers can help that production, all the merrier in getting hired.
Yeah.
Definitely getting hired. Well, I really appreciate your 3 points there were perfect with eSpeakers. You can find a speaker, you can connect with a speaker, and you can hire a speaker all in one-stop shop area, and that's on eSpeakers. Well, how can, I hate for us to go because there's so much more to share. We're going to have you back. Is there any way that people can connect you directly? I've got your email address is probably the best way right now.
Yeah, you can reach out to me at jheaps@eSpeakers.com, as Deborah's putting across the screen there. You can search me on LinkedIn. Connect with me there if you'd like. You can go to eSpeakers.com and search there. Facebook, I'm on Facebook as well. So would love to connect with all of you and interact with you and help you have an easier transition into the virtual side of things. If you have questions or you have comments or how do we do this, I'm even networked with quite a few people that are like-minded in regards to the having hybrid events. And so we've got some really great AV people that we're partnering with, some planning people. I've got a great somebody in the meetings industry that's I think one of the best in planning kind of the virtual structure and how it would work. And I don't think one thing I do think as well is when you think of virtual, and you can buy a virtual platform that would give you kind of like that virtual trade show where you can walk in the front door and you go over here to have a speaker and you go over here to see an exhibitor and go to here to learn here. And they're all great. I think those are here to stay as well.
It's awesome.
I really do think that they're, like those, that's a great platform and they're only going to get better as people use them. But don't psych yourself out and think that that's the only way to do it. Like the way we're talking right here is a great way to do it. And especially with the technology with like Zoom, you can do meeting rooms. So you can have everybody in and then break them apart randomly or select certain groups, break them apart, talk about something, come back. Okay, what did you guys learn? Talk about it. It's actually, in my opinion, it's better learning than what it is in person, because you look around in person in the rooms and people are on their phones, or they're asleep, or they're going to get a drink and doing whatever. And like when you're on live, you can't like go somewhere, you're live.
Yeah.
And if you, anyway, I guess you could mute your camera or turn off your camera, but anyway, yeah.
But you're there to learn.
I'd love to hear from anybody. So
yeah, good. And I know you also have an eSpeaker Facebook page where you do such a great job of listing speakers almost every day, I believe, to highlight them where clients can go to and just kind of check some out and see who's the hot ones for the day.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's really this hard. It's just a difficult situation we're in, because if to have an event, you want to hire a speaker that's really going to put people in like butts in seats, I guess is the term people use, but they're not seats anymore. Just like we want the attendance there, right? So, and to do that, you have to have a big name, or you have to have crashed a plane into a mountain and walked out for 3 months and then write a book about it, right? Or something that is fabulous, right?
Right.
So what about all those other speakers that just have really good messages, right? And that's what we've tried to highlight. And like, that's our core group of people, of speakers. And so we try to highlight them, and we only highlight the people that have done a really good job of maximizing their content, helping a speaker. Because really the idea is that if an event organizer goes to eSpeakers Marketplace, to our directory, and searches for a speaker, when they land on Deborah Gardner, they want to be able to know everything about Deborah Gardner. I don't want to have to go to their website. I don't want to have to go to social media. I don't want to have to go to a different event to see what they spoke on.
Right.
I want to make all my right here. In fact, we've made it so easy that you can review all that information, watch videos, do everything on Deborah. But then you can also inquire with her, put her in a short list, start communicating with her, hire her and pay her right online.
Right.
It's so easy, right?
Right.
So, that's really the process that we've created. So
and very successful too. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of tech gurus that are saying websites are going away. Yeah. So what better position eSpeakers is in to help both speakers and the clients?
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, just even that Instagram example I gave you. Why do you need a website to sell product? Well, now you can sell it right on there,
Yeah.
And
that's where it's going.
Marketplace is going that direction. And so anyway, I think you just got to think we're in a new age right now.
Absolutely. And in an experimental age too. So it's okay to take risks and try something new and creative today.
Right.
Bottom line. Yeah. Well, Joe, I want to thank you so much for being on the show here. What a delight. I learned a lot, and I know a lot of the speakers that are watching and those that hire speakers that are watching will want to contact you and even talk to you a little bit more. If you do have questions, again, get a hold of Joe. He would be delighted to walk you through the system as a speaker or as a client as well. It's just one of the best marketplace sites that I've ever been involved with. And I know a lot of other speakers can contest to that as well. So thanks for joining us here, Joe.
No, thank you, Deborah. Hey, one last thing before you cut off, and that is that for the event organizers that are out there, we understand that like you're all at different spots in your career and technology and feeling comfortable with whatever. And so we allow, you can go right in and do everything on your own, or we have a great team internally here that are able to help you as well. And they can help you a little bit, or they can help you a lot and answer a lot of questions. And they are very seasoned. And so, we have something for everybody. So,
I even had one of your staff help me with my bio. So
there we go. Yeah.
Your staff is going to know what is going to sell online. So I'd rather go to the professionals that know what they're doing, and love my bio. Definitely. Well, thanks again, Joe. This has been a delight. Appreciate
thanks, everybody. It's been awesome.
Wow. I hope all of you really enjoyed this episode with Joe Heaps. Finding a speaker, connecting with a speaker, and hiring a speaker on eSpeakers is the best and most effective and fastest way to get the job done. So if you actually enjoyed watching this episode as well, by all means, you can watch it again, or you could share it with others that might have missed it right here on our Facebook page, Hospitality Today Live. And if you have any questions, or if you want to be on the show, or you know somebody that wants to be on the show or sponsor a show, by all means, contact us at hello@hospitalitytodaylive.com. If anything, join our online community for the upcoming shows and resources as well. Well, speaking of next show, next up, we have Rowan Pickling, and he is going to be our guest to share with us his in-depth look to what the hospitality people are dealing with during this pandemic. We're talking about struggles. We're talking about losses. We're even talking about depression, which is a lot of what the hospitality professionals have been going through with all the furloughs and the layoffs. And Rowan, he has been right there. But what he is doing to bounce back bigger and stronger than ever before is what really displayed him as a true hospitality professional. And you are not going to want to miss this conversation with Rowan next Tuesday, right here on Hospitality Today Live. So, in the spirit of hospitality, I'm Deborah Gardner. Have a productively busy and successful week. Thank you for joining us right here on Hospitality Live.